Hello, everyone. Welcome to the News Browse News broadcast. According to Al Jazeera, the United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, has issued a stark warning that the ongoing conflict between the United States and Iran is putting millions of people worldwide at risk of severe hunger. In a newly published analysis, the WFP detailed how the war's ripple effects on oil prices and trade, particularly due to the near closure of the strategic Strait of Hormuz, are causing catastrophic food price hikes in fragile countries. The agency reported that previous estimates warning of acute food shortages for 45 million people are beginning to materialize. Fragile, import-dependent nations are bearing the brunt of the shock. In Somalia, about 6.5 million people are expected to face severe hunger this year, while Afghanistan could see 17.4 million people affected. Sri Lanka is also facing extreme pressure, with up to 1.3 million people at risk of being unable to meet basic food needs. Furthermore, the WFP warns that rising operational and delivery costs have forced the organization to reduce aid, threatening to leave millions more without essential humanitarian assistance if the conflict persists. According to an exclusive interview with Al Jazeera, Hamas political bureau member Hussam Badran stated that the group will not immediately surrender its military arsenal, asserting that its ultimate fate must be decided through comprehensive discussions with other Palestinian factions. However, Badran offered a compromise ahead of upcoming Cairo talks, stating that once the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, NCAG, takes over governance, there will be no visible weapons on Gaza's streets except for those of the official Palestinian police. This stance highlights the ongoing deadlock in ceasefire negotiations. While the United States and international mediators have pressured Palestinian groups to disarm as a condition for transitioning to a permanent peace phase, Hamas and other factions view these demands as stalling tactics by Israel to entrench its military occupation. Despite Hamas's readiness to hand over administrative duties to the NCAG, the committee itself faces severe operational hurdles, refusing to operate under ongoing Israeli control. Meanwhile, Al Jazeera reports that the human toll continues to mount, with nearly 1,000 Palestinians killed since the ceasefire theoretically took effect in late 2025. According to Kyodo News, the Japanese parliament on Friday enacted a 3.11 trillion yen, 19 billion, supplementary budget for the current fiscal year to ease the impact of rising energy costs. The spending bill cleared both chambers of parliament in just 2 days after submission, receiving support from some opposition parties in the House of Councillors, where the ruling coalition lacks a majority. The supplementary budget was compiled following rising concerns over the prolonged Middle East conflict, which has pushed crude oil prices higher and added inflationary pressure on resource-poor Japan. The government plans to use the funds to replenish reserves for subsidies on gas and electricity bills from July to September, as well as to curb gasoline prices by subsidizing oil wholesalers. Specifically, 2.5 trillion yen is allocated to a reserve fund primarily for gasoline subsidies to keep prices around 170 yen per liter, while 513.5 billion yen is set aside for electricity and gas subsidies. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, who initially resisted the extra budget due to fiscal health concerns, stated that it would be executed without negatively affecting the bond market. NHK reports that countries across Southeast Asia are facing severe inflationary pressure as a result of disruptions to Middle East oil supplies. In the Philippines, the Consumer Price Index rose by 6.8% in May. While this represents a slight decline from April, inflation remains significantly above the central bank's target. Meanwhile, Vietnam and Indonesia have seen inflation accelerate, with consumer prices rising by 5.6% and 3% respectively. Thailand experienced a slight slowdown to 2.7%. To mitigate the impact of surging fuel costs, many governments in the region have implemented gasoline and diesel subsidies. However, experts warn that the situation remains precarious. As the conflict involving Iran continues, Southeast Asian nations are grappling with weakening national currencies and concerns over fiscal health. These factors risk exacerbating the economic strain by pushing import prices even higher in the coming months. According to a report by Lianhe Zhaobao, U.S. media revealed on Wednesday that the fire on the U.S. Navy's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, in March 2026 was far more severe and destructive than initially described by the military. While the U.S. Naval Forces Central Command previously stated that the laundry room fire was quickly controlled and the ship remained fully operational during operations against Iran, new reports paint a different picture. Video footage released recently shows charred crew quarters, burned through ceilings, and dangling electrical wires. Crew members reported that the ship's automatic firefighting system failed to activate, forcing them to battle the blaze manually for approximately 30 hours. The fire destroyed the sleeping quarters of about 600 sailors, leaving them without berths. U.S. officials now acknowledge that the initial assessment downplayed the incident's impact. The extensive damage has severely affected the aircraft carrier's combat readiness, and officials estimate it will take at least a year of repairs before the carrier can be redeployed. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.